Several kilometers of mountainside are currently moving toward a river channel in Russia's Caucasus. If that material fully blocks the water flow, the downstream flooding could happen with almost no warning. And that is the second problem, because the first one already destroyed 17 homes and left 178 people without shelter. Between the 12th and 16th of April 2026, a sequence of landslides struck multiple mountain districts of Dagestan, a Russian republic embedded in the greater Caucasus range. The primary slide hit the Vyakny section of Orkarak village in the Dakarievsky district on April 12th, and has not stopped moving since. 87 more homes were partially damaged beyond the 17 that were completely destroyed. A water main ruptured. A stone arch bridge over the Kardukati River collapsed, cutting off 6 villages: Sursurbashi, Itsari, Kuduts, Ashti, Kunki, and Dirbakmaki, with no alternative road access. The second event, at Nizhny Ubekimaki in the Levashinsky district, roughly 45 kilometers or 28 miles away, is the one geologists are watching most carefully right now. Residents are describing a mass of displaced material several kilometers in length. When landslide material of that scale reaches a river channel, the risk is not just the slide itself, it is what happens next to the water. I spent the last several days going through official reports on this event, and what struck me immediately was not just the scale of the damage. It was the fact that 2 major landslides struck districts nearly 50 kilometers apart in the same 72-hour window. That is not a coincidence. That is a regional slope system under pressure simultaneously. And to understand why that is happening now, you need to understand what this particular geology has been building toward for millions of years, and why the spring of 2026 became the trigger. The broader flooding context is significant. Since late March of this year, Dagestan has been experiencing some of the most destructive flooding in recent years. The Russian government elevated the emergency to federal level on April 9th. Roughly 1.5 million residents were affected. 6 people lost their lives in the flood events before the landslides even began. What we are seeing now in the mountain districts is the second phase of a crisis that started as a hydrological event and is now becoming a geomorphological one. And geomorphological crises tend to last longer and be harder to recover from. What exactly is happening in the Caucasus bedrock? And why does the spring rainfall create these cascading failures? That answer is written in the geology itself. The greater Caucasus formed through one of the most powerful ongoing tectonic collisions on Earth. The Arabian Plate has been driving northward into the Eurasian Plate for approximately 25 million years, and the result is a mountain chain that peaks above 5,000 meters, or 16,400 feet, built from layers of shale, mudstone, and sandstone, interbedded with volcanic material from earlier eruptive cycles. This specific combination is what makes the region so vulnerable to exactly the type of failure we are seeing now. Here is the mechanism, and it is important to understand it clearly. When clay-bearing sedimentary layers absorb water beyond their saturation threshold, the cohesion between particles drops sharply. The upper soil mass becomes heavy and fluid-like, while the clay layer below becomes almost frictionless. A large block of terrain essentially begins to translate horizontally along that clay failure surface, carrying everything above it, buildings, roads, pipelines, intact but displaced. Geologists call this translational sliding, and it is the dominant failure mode in deeply weathered clay-rich mountain terrain worldwide. I verified all of this through the official reports from the Caucasian Knot Monitoring Service, the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations, Communications, and Russia's Geological monitoring data. All sources are linked in the description below. The cascade of triggers that produced this event followed a sequence that specialists describe as fully consistent with documented Caucasus failure patterns. Heavy rainfall through late March saturated lower elevation soils. Late-season snowmelt above 2,000 meters or 6,500 feet added secondary water volume into profiles that were already at capacity. Then, a concentrated precipitation event in early to mid-April pushed the system past the threshold. It is worth pausing for a moment on what that means in physical terms. The soil mass above the failure plain became heavy enough, and the clay plain below it slippery enough that gravity simply took over. Russia's geological monitoring system has cataloged more than 300 active landslide zones in Dagestan alone, and that number predates the exceptional rainfall of 2026. 300 cataloged zones. That is not a stable territory that was surprised by an unusual event. That is a territory that was already at chronic risk, waiting for conditions like these. The simultaneous failure in two districts, 45 kilometers, or 28 miles apart, is the data point that tells you this is not an isolated local failure. It is a regional scale response to regional scale conditions, and that framing changes what the current monitoring data is actually telling us. The situation on the ground as it developed after April 12th showed rapid escalation. In Urkerak's Vyakni section, the damage count expanded day by day, from 11 damaged homes on the first day to 17 completely destroyed and 87 partially damaged within 72 hours, with the slide still active. The district head of Dagestan confirmed in official statements that cracks were continuing to widen in building structures, and that road surface deformation was being observed in real time. Infrastructure damage compounded the housing crisis immediately. The main water supply pipeline to Urkerak ruptured, cutting off the entire community. 12 water tanker trucks were deployed to provide interim supply while engineers assessed repair options, a task that cannot be completed while the ground is still moving. The road of national importance passing through the region was compromised, and the bridge over the Kardukati River at kilometer 8 collapsed completely. 6 villages remain cut off with no alternative routes. The second slide at Nizhny Ubekamaki carries a specific risk that the initial news coverage has not fully addressed. When a mass of displaced material several kilometers in length reaches a river channel, it can create a natural dam, an unstable, uncontrolled barrier of debris holding back accumulating water. The danger of these landslide dams is well documented. They build up hydrostatic pressure behind them, and when they fail, which they frequently do, the sudden release of water volume can generate a flood pulse downstream that moves faster than conventional flooding and arrives with almost no warning time. Technical teams were still assessing this possibility in the most recent available reports. Russia's hydrometeorological specialist Marina Makarova issued an official warning that worsening weather conditions could trigger larger-scale landslides and avalanches across Dagestan. New precipitation is forecast for the days ahead. I will continue tracking this situation because, based on everything the current data shows, the instability cycle in the region has not closed. The ground is still wet, the slopes are still loaded, and the same meteorological pattern that saturated them is not fully over. The practical implications of this event operate at two levels. The immediate level is clear. A mountain district in the Russian Caucasus sustained a multi-point slope failure that destroyed homes, isolated communities, and left infrastructure severely damaged during a period when no repair operations can safely begin because the ground is still moving. Response was reasonably fast. 178 residents evacuated without fatalities directly attributed to the slides, but 6 villages remain cut off, and the river blockage risk at Nizhny Ubekamaki remains unresolved. After going through all of this data, the question I want to explore in the next video is this: how well prepared are Europe's and Central Asia's mountain regions for rainfall cycles that climate models project to intensify over the coming decades? Drop a comment telling me which geological region or phenomenon you want me to cover next. That kind of specific input shapes the channel's direction directly. And if this gave you a clearer picture than the news coverage did, share it, because the scientific context is exactly what makes the difference.